Hey, 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 this is Jordan Sheridan. Special weekend live stream. Special weekend live stream for you. Hope everyone's having a good start to the weekend. I'm going to wait just a couple minutes, get a few more people in here. Already have some people in the live chat. It is Saturday, October 13th. Little chilly in New York, but I just got back from Dallas, Texas, where I was covering multiple stories, which I'll get into in a little bit. As a reminder, this is a super chat. This is a super chat on the YouTube. So if you're feeling super this weekend, feel free to leave a couple nickels, a couple dollars. And this is also, we are in the final, not the final, but we are in the push for our GoFundMe. Our overall goal is 50,000. We are basically $100 short of 11,000. We've had this GoFundMe moving for a month. We started a month ago, and we've already been in the field because of your contributions. Ty and I were in Dallas this week covering a story that I think is getting really an astonishing lack of coverage, and I'm referring to the murder of Botham John, a 26-year-old African American who was literally in his apartment on September 6th when an off-duty police officer, a white female, intruded in and shot him dead. So I'm going to recap for you my reporting from down in Dallas. While I was down there, I actually didn't know about this story until I was down there. But there is also a 24-year-old black man named O'Shea Terry. O'Shea Terry was 24, and he and his friend Terrence Harmon were pulled over on September 1st in Arlington by the Arlington PD. Arlington's about 25 minutes to a half hour from Dallas. And after a first officer went back to the car to enter in his information, another officer said, "I'm going to search your car for marijuana." O'Shea Terry drove away, which, shouldn't have done. But as he drove away, a police officer jumped on his car, and shot in 5 times, killing him. So I was down there covering the investigation, or lack thereof, investigation into the killing of Botham John, as well as the investigation, or lack of the murder of O'Shea Terry. In the case of Botham John, we know who the police officer is. Her name was Amber Geiger. There has been no release as far as her 911 call that she made after killing Botham. There has been no release of her police records. We don't know the results of her toxicology report, but at least we know her name and a photo of her. In the case of O'Shea Terry, over a month later, we don't even know who the officer was who killed him. So that is very, very disturbing. And I got the sense down in Dallas that, like Chicago, like St. Louis, like Baltimore, like a lot of communities that are heavily populated by African Americans, parents are scared to death, literally scared to death for their kids, because it is pretty much open season on these children down in Texas and all over the country, these black kids. And most of these kids, late teens to early 20s, that are being murdered by police. And as usual, the investigation being conducted, the very police departments that are killing these black men are investigating themselves. So I'm going to get into a recap of my reporting down there, and also push you to continue supporting us via GoFundMe. This GoFundMe, as I've told you, we are not going to be an outlet that tries to raise money and tells you we're going to do certain things and then we don't do them. We've already gotten in the field for a week, which costs money, to cover this critical story, and we'd like to get out there even more. Thank you, Cece, getting the super chat rolling. $10 on the super chat. And like I said, you could leave contributions in the super chat or the GoFundMe. Let me show you what the GoFundMe is looking like. Here we go. We are so close to 11,000. Oh, never mind. We just hit 100. We just hit $11,000. Thank you, Zachary Kirkpatrick. Just left $123 to get us to 11,000. Thank you. I can't thank you enough, Zachary, and to the 188 people. 188 people have contributed to our GoFundMe over the past month. Why that is so amazing to us? Number one, we have not really advertised the GoFundMe other than my live streams. Number two, we have not gone on other programs to advertise the GoFundMe. We have not really asked people with bigger followings to advertise our GoFundMe. We're doing that for specific reasons, which maybe I'll explain to you in a little bit. But the fact that organically, without Jen, has anyone shared this with followers? No, nobody has shared this. I'm not knocking anyone because we haven't really pushed anyone to share it. But we are strategically waiting to really advertise and push this probably till end of this month, and you will know why when we do push that. But the fact that 188 people have organically contributed, honestly, no tears. It does warm my heart. It does warm my heart. And we'd like to, our overall goal is 50,000. And I don't want to be someone who's constantly, begging for money. My focus is reporting. But at the end of the day, if you want to be an independent journalist, if you want to build an independent network, you got to go straight to the people. Our long-term business model is going to be paid membership. We are launching statuscoup.com. Can I say it?
Sometime this week.
We are launching statuscoup.com. Sometime this coming week. Sometime this coming week, we'll be launching statuscoup.com. We are excited to launch statuscoup.com. We will be going live still on YouTube, still on Facebook, still on Periscope, but we will also be going live on our website, statuscoup.com. To enter your email information now, you could go to jordanchariton.com. Is that correct, Jen?
Yep.
jordanchariton.com. Enter your email now, jordanchariton.com, so that when we launch statuscoup.com, we could seamlessly move you over, so you will get alerts when we're going live. You will get alerts when we're going into the field. You will get other special alerts. We promise we won't flood you like the Democratic Party and others are flooding you for money. Any chance of a weekly podcast? You better believe it, baby. The only reason we haven't started the weekly podcast is Ty is very busy working on a documentary on our Flint reporting, so we've been giving him time for that. But we will have a weekly podcast. Sometimes it will be Ty and I co-hosting. Sometimes it will be me solo. I'm sure Jen will jump on sometimes, but there will be a weekly podcast. In addition to that, we are going to start making the live streams I do on a daily basis into podcasts. We know not everyone has time or logistically isn't in front of their computer, but maybe you have time on the way to work. Maybe you have time on the way to work, driving, or on the train, or whatever you're doing, that you'd want to listen to the live streams rather than watch. So we're going to be making that into those. Our resources are scarce at the moment. It's basically myself, Ty, and Jen. Jen counts for 10 people because that's how much work she does. But things are moving in the right direction. And again, I really mean this. I can't thank all of you enough. I'm going to keep pushing for more contributions, because although $11,000, that in a month is incredible, which puts us on pace to reach 50,000 in 5 months.
Sure.
But we want to accelerate. We want to reach that 50,000 much sooner than 5 months. But 11,000 in 1 month is definitely a damn good start. So thank you to everyone. I will bring it up a few more times during the live stream. Jen keeps you in line and on the right track. You have no idea. You have no idea. She does. $20 in the super chat. Goulamé Lescatur. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm going to try. Goulamé Lescatur. Covered your reporting in Dallas very closely and shared it with a few people who gave... Guillaume? Sorry, Guillaume. Covered your reporting in Dallas very closely and shared it with a few people who gave positive feedback. Keep up the great work, Jordan. Thank you, Guillaume. I want to give you guys a little behind the scenes of what it's like to go down to these stories, because you probably don't know. And if Ty wasn't shooting me, if Ty wasn't shooting the interviews and people that we just met was okay with us shooting their reaction, you'd be able to see. But we, generally speaking, parachute in to locations and stories, right? So I didn't have any contacts in Dallas to cover the Botham John murder or the O'Shea Terry murder. You could try ahead of time to reach out to activists, organizers, politicians, and all that, but 50-50 if they get back to you. And also, rightly so, there is a general skepticism and cynicism when it comes to media. So myself reaching out to activists on the ground and black activists as well, generally speaking, they might not know who I am. They might have not seen my work at the Young Turks, and they look at me like, who is this white boy reaching out to us? What are his motives? Why is he coming here? So it definitely, you don't just drop in and all of a sudden you have like 20 interviews lined up and everything's cool and your videos are going viral and viral and viral. It takes time. That's why, as far as Flint, for example, I've gone back 12 times. And several of those times, it was about establishing relationships, building sources, so that when you go, so you could dig deeper. So this first time, we were able to interview a great amount of people for nobody knowing us beforehand. I'm going to replay some of those interviews as we're live. But that is what we're trying to build here. As we build up our revenue, as we build up our funding, we will be able to bring on more people so that we could reach out ahead of time. We could scout trips better. We could book interviews earlier. We could get contacts earlier. And we could also advertise more. Because from what I've seen, a lot of people in these communities don't even know we're down there covering things unless word of mouth, it gets to them. So thank you. Cheryl Simpson, if you need research, I'm pretty good at that. We are vetting volunteers. That would be jordanchariton.com/volunteers. Jen will put it in the live chat. So I am going to get to the Democratic Party, which, reading this article, I mean, being down there and covering this and covering the murders of these two black men, which are obscene and so unjust, and then seeing what the Democratic Party is saying their first priority will be if they retake Congress, it makes so much sense to me why the Democratic Party keeps losing, why they keep losing. So first, I want to play you a snippet of my interview with a Dallas Councilman Philip Kingston. If you don't know anything about the Botham John case, I'll give you a quick Cliff Notes version. And press the share button on Facebook. We're getting quite suppressed on the Facebook, so it's up to you guys to share on Facebook. But our reporting down in Dallas, we went down there because a 26-year-old man, Botham John, he is from St. Lucia originally, moved here a few years ago, was avid in his church. He led song on Sundays in his church. He taught a Bible class on Wednesday evenings. He was just hanging out in his apartment like you might be right now on September 6th when a officer, a white female, intruded into his apartment and shot him dead. Her story has changed 2 or 3 times on what exactly happened. BD Saints 1986 says, anything we could do to help until we could get money to contribute. Jen, what could they do to help if they can't contribute?
Every possibility.
Share all our content. Don't just share it. Create your own post, encouraging people to subscribe. If I left out, we're boosting up on the GoFundMe. We're 100 subscribers away from 20,000 subscribers. 20,000. We just launched at the end of February. That would be 7 months. So either the content we're doing is working and people like real reporting on real issues, or it's just a fluke. I think it's the former. And by the way, I'm very proud that we were able to build this subscriber base with very limited resources, with, frankly, half the people not even knowing I have a YouTube channel. We keep getting, like, for example, I did a video on Jimmy Dore, not because I thought it was going to, like, explode, but because I just wanted to defend Jimmy Dore. I thought he was getting smeared unfairly, and it did very well. I think it has, like, almost 90,000 views. And in the comments, you keep seeing, I didn't even know you were back. Oh, Jordan, it's great to see you're back at it. Subscribed. A lot of people in the progressive movement and community don't know we have this channel. YouTube, I'm not going to harp on it, is not exactly making sure this channel is showing up in people's feeds. So it's incumbent on you. If you can't contribute, even if you can't contribute, share the content and also post separately about this content. So I want to play you Philip Kingston, who's a councilman in Dallas. He's white, which doesn't really matter, but he has basically called out the Dallas PD because over a month later, this black man was assassinated in his apartment. We don't have the 911 call released from the police officer. We don't have her police records, which include a shooting last year. She shot a man. We don't have her toxicology results. On the toxicology, that's not as problematic because a lot of times toxicology reports do take a little while, longer than 30 days. But on the first two, that 911 call should be released, her police records should be released, and she was given 3 days to go home and scrub her social media. We have not seen the national media, aside from a few articles, cover the Botham John murder. And unfortunately, the national corporate media generally doesn't cover these issues of black men being massacred by an out-of-control police department unless there's a chance of an OK Corral shootout, where you have hundreds or thousands of protesters on the street clashing with the police. They only tend to cover it when there is controversy and there might be violence. I'm covering it because it's important, not waiting for that. So let me play you just part of this. Again, Dallas Councilman Philip Kingston was nice enough to do an interview with me. Here's some of that.
Well, I think that's certainly how the community has seen it, is that there was no attempt to secure things like her cell phone, which they already knew was going to be important because the 911 call came from there. And there is some chatter, hard to verify, that she may have had previous confrontations with this guy. And so that was something that she should not have been released in her own recognizance with her cell phone. The first thing she did is she went home and tried to scrub her social media, and that's it's not okay. We're entitled to know what kind of person she is based on what she's published about herself. That seems entirely reasonable, and for her to be given this special treatment strikes people in the community as not something they would be entitled to if the shoe were on the other foot.
And he was killed on September 6th. I believe within days there was 2 different warrants. There was a search warrant of his apartment, and then 2 or 3 days later an arrest affidavit. And you were saying before we went on camera, she's the only living witness, and there were 2 different stories in a span of days. The original story that Amber Geiger, who's the police officer, was that she lives right under Botham, so directly Botham lived on the 4th floor. She lived on the 3rd floor, directly under him. She says she went to the wrong floor, where in the parking garage. She went to the wrong floor, and then assumed she was going to her apartment. And in that first search warrant, the story was she was trying to open the door with an electronic key card, and then both opened it or something like that.
Something like that version of the story is not clear at all. It is backed up, though, a bit by corroborating witnesses that Lee Merritt says he has that say that she was banging on the door and yelling. And so it's possible that Mr. Jean saw a police officer through his peephole and opened the door. Right. Her story that is in the other version, which is in the search warrant affidavit, I believe, one or the other version, says that she found the door ajar. And the residents in this building have posted videos demonstrating quite clearly that the doors do not remain ajar. They're like hotel doors. So she did not find that door ajar, most likely. Anyway, the point you're trying to make is that within 72 hours of this killing, the only witness has at least 2 different versions of the story. That's extremely troubling.
And also, in a normal circumstance, if it was not a police officer, certainly if it was a black person, if you went and shot somebody dead in his apartment, you wouldn't be let out within an hour on bond. What was the rationale to let this person off other than she's a police officer and getting special treatment?
Well, you have a couple of instances of special treatment. So in the initial, probably confusing circumstances at the scene, whoever was in charge apparently in consultation with Faith Johnson, our DA, made the determination that this should be treated as an officer-involved shooting as though she were on duty. And we do treat officers differently when they're on duty and use deadly force, and that's not unfair. That should be that way. But this clearly wasn't an officer-involved shooting, and by 7 the next morning, the police department, apparently at the top levels of command, had decided to treat it as a crime. But there became, within the department, this debate about whether it's murder or manslaughter. And under Texas law, it's murder. Intentional killing is homicide. The Officer Geiger may be entitled to present defenses that related to reasonable mistake of fact. I have a legal theory about whether those will be successful. But these are steps in a process. First, it's murder, then you arrest, then you send to the grand jury. And if she can bond out, then she bonds out in the regular course of the normal operation of our criminal justice system, which would have been at Lou Sterrett Jail over here in Dallas. She would have had an open public bond hearing to set that bond. Instead, what happened was there was an agreed bond, basically. The Rangers, along with the Dallas Police Association, took her down to Kaufman County where there would be no media. And where processing, as you pointed out, would likely be faster. And she was out on bond in less than an hour. And then they were able to keep the Kaufman County authorities from even keeping a copy of the arrest warrant. So the media was further stymied in its ability to get the arrest warrant until the judge came back to her courtroom and could distribute it as a normal open record.
And also with the audience. So that's just part of that interview. You could see all of our interview up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jordan Sheridan Reports. We have the full interview, which I think was like 25 minutes, but we've also cut it up into a few parts. But needless to say, you don't have to be living under a rock to see this officer is getting treatment no one else in America, well, maybe oligarchs and rich people. This officer is getting treatment that I wouldn't get, that you wouldn't get, and especially black people wouldn't get. She literally assassinated, as far as we know, a complete stranger. Somebody asked in the chat, do we know if she was drunk? We don't have her toxicology report yet. They did take toxicology to see what was in her system. We have no idea of her police record or her history. She did shoot someone in 2017. They have not released that. Again, didn't release her 911 call. There's also other inconsistencies that nobody has answered, and frankly, I haven't even seen the media pick up on. There was two affidavits. One was a search warrant affidavit, and the other was the arrest affidavit. It says that the second one, it says that she, after shooting him and turning on the lights, she called 911. On the phone with 911, they said, "What is your address?" At the time when they're asking her what is her address, she's still saying she thought it was her apartment. Yet, she gets up, she walks to the front door to look at the number. Well, if you thought it was your apartment, why would you have to go look outside at the number? Yes, of course, if you just shoot someone, there's adrenaline, fear, a lot of mixed emotions, but if it's your apartment, generally speaking, you know your own address. In that affidavit, it says that's when she realized it wasn't her apartment, not when she put the lights on and saw what apartment she was in, different furniture, different everything, but when she got up and walked to the door to look at the apartment number. That doesn't make sense, and it doesn't add up. So I want to, in addition to that, I want to also play you a little bit just so you could kind of get a feel for who Botham was. I think sometimes this kind of gets lost in reporting, and unfortunately there's very little reporting so far on this. But I want you to know who this man was, because it's important to know that this wasn't just anyone who was killed for no reason, but he had a family, he had friends, he had personality, and this is one of his close friends. Her name was Jessica Berry, and she was a friend of Botham. They sat next to each other in church and all those things. So here's a little bit of that interview I did. on that, and she was allowed to
And that went to his home country, and that
the beginning, like how'd you guys meet, and how'd you kind of, seems like you in a way took him under your wing when he came here from St. Lucia.
yeah. Initially, I met him in 2014, and just casual conversation. I was mentioning that I went on a cruise the summer before meeting him, and I went to his home country, and that just catapulted conversation. And then when he came here in July 2016, I just saw him and embraced him, and we just hit it off with talking about shows on Netflix and just different social issues that were going on at the time, and just things here around church that he wanted to improve, or just talking about different people here that he wanted to get to know, because he wanted to know everybody and he wanted to feel like at home and everything. And so that's the kind of person that he was. He invests in people, and once he meets someone that he trusts, he doesn't take it lightly. He wants to get to know you, hang out, and everything. So that's kind of how we started. I was helping him out, meeting new people, and just I guess learning the ropes, you would say, here at church. So
it's, his mother talked about this a little bit, but he was also pretty active as far as social justice. Basically, kind of, I wouldn't say he was like a lead protester, but he went, he protested on behalf of black men that were murdered, or after President Trump issued his ban of new people coming into the country. Can you kind of talk about that side of him?
yeah, he was very passionate about social issues and justice for people, especially immigrants, because he was an immigrant himself. He was here on a work visa, and just knowing that people weren't getting the justice that they deserved, he was very vocal about it. And the order that was issued by Trump when he first took office about not letting immigrants in or out, he didn't sit back and watch the news. He saw that there was a peaceful protest going on at DFW Airport, and he was down there, that night. The order had just went down, and he didn't waste any time. He went down there and protested well till 1 or 2 in the morning, and it was Sunday morning, and we had church, later on that morning, and he came to church, and he let me know that he was down there, and I wasn't surprised because I knew how passionate he was, and him being an immigrant, he couldn't stand by and let people that were just like him, get ran over by something like that. And so that's the kind of person that he was. He sees the need, and he goes down there and try to fulfill it or support it the best way he can.
Did you guys ever talk about just police brutality or some of these national instances? I know there's been in Dallas area black men that have been killed by police. Did he have strong feelings about that, or ever fear for his life? Because there's been reports that he tried to interact with the police as little as possible.
Oh yeah, he definitely was aware of police brutality and just black men in America in general. The reason he dressed the way he did is because he wanted to look low profile, less threatening. He knew that if he had a certain look or more urban look, that he would draw attention to himself. So he made it a point to look good, to make sure he looked professional, because he knew that he was a target just being a black man in America, let alone an immigrant here, And if they found out that detail, he was already, anxious about that. So he was definitely aware of how police brutality is in America. Very active about it through his walk, his speech. He made sure he was articulate, polite, and just overall non-threatening, because he knew what the culture was these past couple of years.
And that's pretty striking to me, that somebody who, even though he shouldn't have had to, nobody should have to dress up nice to not get shot or killed by police. But it's kind of, in a weird way, very striking that he did all that, but when he was in his apartment, presumably dressed more casually, that's when he was murdered. And it's also interesting, I have my favorite troll here, Jerry Ross, who's arrived for the weekend super chat. Hey, Jerry, do me a favor. If you're going to troll every day, at least contribute to the GoFundMe. You know? Like, I'm all good. I haven't blocked you. I won't. I know you work for the Dakota Access Pipeline. I know you're an oil man. You might not even be a real person. Who knows? But at least contribute some money if you're going to occupy space here, for the love of God. Jen, don't you think you should?
Definitely.
Jerry, I'll make you a deal. You contribute $500 or more, we will have a live debate on the YouTube. If you're a real person. If you're a real person, Jerry. But only Jerry, only the conservative, wacko, big oil, whatever you are mind, can argue on behalf of a police officer that went to some black guy's apartment and assassinated him. Only Jerry. Only Jerry. But I love you, Jerry. Sure do. So, to me, that's really striking because this is not this was not, somebody born in America. He was born in St. Lucia, but he came here to go to school. He was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a financial auditing company. He was doing well, and he was 26. He was minding his business, going to church, all those things. But he was just randomly murdered. And the more and more people I spoke to, they get the talk, especially young black men, from their parents, how to operate if you're pulled over, or how to interact with police, which is basically like, don't, say as little as possible, say yes sir, yes ma'am, whatever, and try to fly under the radar. Don't cause a stir. But what kind of conversation could you give your kids about how to stay safe in your own apartment? Like, this is what we're dealing with. And the fact that this person has basically been given protection and a different standard than anyone else would is very striking. And it doesn't bode well for what the final outcome will be. They're talking about it going to a grand jury. My question is, why do you need this to go to a grand jury? This should automatically go past a grand jury. I mean, either she knew him and there was a motive, or she didn't. But even if you want to give her the benefit of the doubt, even if she thought it was a burglar, just because you have a burglar in your house doesn't mean you shoot to kill. And she's an officer. She might have been off duty, but she knows how to shoot not to kill. She could have done something else if she really thought it was a burglar, if she was really confused. It was her apartment. But too often, and somebody, the minister of that church, I just played you an interview with his daughter, says too often police are allowed to use this excuse and defense that they were in fear for their life. Well, what about the person's life you killed? They don't get to use that defense. They're dead. They're dead. And press the share button. Let's get this out to more people. And by the way, as a reminder, this is a super chat, and we just hit 11,000, but we are not stopping. We're not stopping at 11,000 in this GoFundMe. And Jen just gave me the breaking news announcement that between 11,000 and 1,200, between 11,000 and 12,000, between 11,000 and 12,000, if you contribute $200, you're getting a Status Coup swag bag. A Status Coup swag bag filled with what?
It'll be a lot of surprises, but things you could wear, things you could use.
Things you could wear, things you could use, all Status Coup garb. So as a reminder, if you contribute $100, you get a Status Coup hat or a shirt. The hats and shirts we ordered are actually different than this one because the C, it's like our actual logo, has the colors in the logo. This is the original hat that's kind of plain Jane. We're ordering hats and shirts with the coloring. But if you contribute $200, you're getting a full swag bag with a ton of goodies, also signed goodies, if that makes you feel good. If you give $50, you're getting a mini swag bag.
Yeah.
So we're keeping this open, 11,000 to 12,000. 200 gets you a full swag bag with a lot of goodies. And we're not talking about chocolate. We're talking about Status Coup goodies. Well, maybe chocolate. We'll see. $50 gets you a mini. And that's also open to Jerry Ross. Jerry, that's also open to you. We might actually we'll send you some clean energy renewables, too.
Tell them that the first round of shirts and
Oh yeah, the first shirts and hats are coming in Monday.
Yeah,
So if you want a shirt or a hat,
very soon.
the first batch are coming. So you know how to do it. 100 gets you a hat or a shirt. 127 gets you both. 200 gets you a swag bag. So, hey, can I get a swag bag?
Sure.
Okay.
Jordan gets one.
I want a swag bag. Jerry Ross, I could use more ass wipes. You know, Jerry, I used to use Preparation H ass wipes. I recommend those. So, I want to get to another story that I didn't even know about until I got on the ground there. And this is why it's so important that we grow this GoFundMe, because a lot of times I'm not totally in the know about everything going on on the ground. And if I'm not informed, it's because nobody is covering it. I'm generally well researched. I generally know pretty much a lot of things that are going on the ground, but I didn't find out about this other killing until I got there. As a warning, this next video I'm going to show you is disturbing, so if you don't want to see something awful, turn away. This happened on September 1st. The driver is a 24-year-old man named O'Shea Terry. The passenger was a 24-year-old man by the name of Terrence Harmon. They were pulled over because O'Shea's car had an expired registration literally by 2 days. Literally expired by 2 days. And the first police officer that approached them was actually pretty reasonable, pretty calm. And she walked back to her car to enter in the driver's information, his birthday, all the things that a police officer would enter into their machine or whatever. A second officer was at the passenger seat and told them, we're going to have to check your car for marijuana. The driver did attempt to drive away. I have said, as well as the lawyer has said, that obviously wasn't the right thing, but what happened after was a much greater crime. Here we go.
Okay, what are you upset about? It's hot. Well, I'm staying outside here. You know? Like I say, if you don't have any more inside the vehicle, y'all should be worried about it. You know? We just have to do what we have to do. So that's basically it. Hey! Hey, stop! Sir!
Stop the car, man! Stop the car!
Hey, it's Jordan. I'm live in Arlington, Texas. So there you have it. That was a police officer who literally has not been identified over a month later. They have not given that police officer's name or his photo for, quote, fear of, or that they have received, quote, death threats at the police officer. So I went to a community meeting that was being held in Arlington because the community, dare I say, wants some answers. It's been over a month. We don't know the police officer's name. We don't have an image of the police officer. We don't know exactly where the investigation is. And frankly, the Arlington PD, which is the police department that shooter, the cop, works for, is the one investigating it. Ring a bell when police departments investigate themselves? The Chicago Police Department was investigating the Laquan McDonald murder. Well, they were saying nothing to see here. It was only until the video came out that they had no choice. Thankfully, that officer, Jason Van Dyke, was just found guilty of second-degree murder. Should have been found guilty of first-degree murder, but I digress. In this case, two wrongs do not make a right. So two things could be true. Should O'Shea Terry have driven away? No. He wasn't released yet. He shouldn't have driven away. Does that merit a death sentence? No, it does not. And police protocol does not authorize deadly force in the case of a moving vehicle unless that vehicle is using deadly force against the officer. That is the written protocol and training for an officer if a vehicle is moving away from it or fleeing, for lack of a better word. You are not supposed to use deadly force unless there is deadly force coming against you. So knowing that, I asked the officer who they sent down to this community meeting, who might as well have been a mime, because she had no real answers. They literally sent down an officer who's not a part of the investigation. So everything she said is, well, I can't answer because I'm not overseeing the investigation. Then why the hell did they send you? So let me play you my question to that officer, which I think gets to the point of trying to get an admission that how that officer reacted is against training. And then I'll play a little bit more, which shows you how frightened and upset the residents, the black residents of Arlington are. Here you go.
What is the police procedure for a driver running away and not adhering to commands? Is it to shoot out their tires? Is it to get a helicopter, or is it to shoot into the car? What is the general protocol for that kind of situation?
So, in regards to your first question, I know that the community is frustrated that we haven't released his name. I hear that all the time from people. Why haven't we released his name? Why haven't we released his name? And I hear that. We've gotten threats. We're not prepared to release that information about what those threats are. I know that people feel that there is a double standard when it relates to the treatment of officers versus the treatment of people in the community. But at this point, we're just not prepared to release his name based on the information that we have. That doesn't mean that we won't release it later. But right now, we're just not prepared to do it.
So, before I get to the rest of her ridiculous answer, they are not prepared. They're not prepared to release his name because he's received death threats. How has he received death threats if nobody knows who he is? Can anyone answer that? Nobody knows who the man is. How could he receive death threats? Does he have imaginary people threatening him? Because his reaction to O'Shea Terry driving away, and by the way, he was killed by those 5 bullets, the reaction implies some type of mental deficiency, if you ask me. He was not in fear at all. There was no bullets or gun pointed at him. The car was driving away, not at him. No threat to the officer. So it defies common sense and common logic. This officer is lying when she says he's receiving death threats. No one knows his identity. He's not receiving death threats. But the rest of the answer was just as absurd.
It doesn't mean that we won't. Okay? And I know that people are frustrated with that. But right now, that is our stance. And as it relates to your second question about what our tactics are, I don't want to be misquoted. So if you want to know what our tactics are, you're more than welcome to go and file an open records request to get a copy of what we teach as it relates to tactics and things like that and dealing with people on traffic stops.
So you don't want to be misquoted. You can't just generally say, is the protocol or the general process to shoot out a tire, to call for backup if they're driving away? I mean,
we have a variety of tactics at our disposal in dealing with people when we were on traffic stops.
I have 2 parts. Number 1, as a mother of 2 black sons, one of which is 6-year-old sitting here telling me every day, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a cop. I want to be a police officer. I am conflicted in that because I don't want him to have to be hush-hush when his Caucasian counterparts kill us. And so he's a member of the Blue Wall, and he's going to be conflicted in what is morally correct. I want to buy him books that teach him cops are here to protect you, but I can't because, like you and the use of the word transparency, it would be straight hypocrisy.
right.
You said you were going to be transparent. You have not been transparent with who killed O'Shea. You're not transparent with who he is, what has been done to him as far as you threw O'Shea's name out there. Why aren't we hearing who this person is?
That's right.
I want to know, does he have prior offenses? You're saying he's in your police station. How do I know when I walk in with an issue, I'm not running up on him and he's going to do some ignorance with me?
Well,
How do I know your police officers are not going to kill me and my child? I'm done. You can answer that.
So, I know that you're frustrated. I can hear it. I'm not sure what part of your question you want me to answer.
Transparency. It's not equal. Kind of like the justice you all issue. Unequal.
here tonight that at this point we are not prepared to release his name based on the information that we have. And that is it.
But you dogged O'Shea Terry. It's hypocrisy. It's unfair. It is not right. You killed his body, then you killed his name.
Right.
Why are you here if you have no answers?
That's right. We want to know.
Why are you here?
We were asked to come here to provide an update on the administrative and criminal process, which is what we were told that we were going to provide tonight. And so, coming here to talk about what the administrative process is, why does it take so long for the administrative process, what the criminal process is, why does it take so long for the criminal process? Because people have questions about that because they don't understand how it works and why does it take so long.
And they invited you to be the solution, yet you have no solution.
None.
What you're hearing today is a community that is crying out to you to express to you the fear and the frustration when they're saying release his name to identify a murderer. It is not for that person to be identified. It's for you to address the fact that you need to protect and serve your community. You do not get the choice to nullify the existence of a human person because you are protecting another. What you're saying with that is that all lives are not equal. So what you need to do as a perspective from protecting and serving all of us who we fund you and your existence, your paycheck, you need to own up to the fact that all lives are equal. Furthermore, do more work to respect and acknowledge that as you serve us.
I'm here with Lee Metzler.
And here's an interview with O'Shea's lawyer.
Lee Merritt, and you, Terrence Harmon. You were in the car with O'Shea, and I just wanted to ask first and foremost. This question doesn't get asked that much. Can you talk about O'Shea as a person? Who was he? What kind of guy was killed at only 24 years old?
He was a goofy guy, man. Somebody fun to be around. Like when you're around him, you're gonna smile. You're gonna get a lot of laughs. I'm talking about like the terrorists. He was a good person all the way around. Like anything we did, he was with it. Whether it was swimming, hooping, going to the mall, going to the club, whatever. Like like we were just good friends, and just not only us. You know what I'm saying? He left a lot of more brothers that cared for him. You know what I'm saying? That was there for him. We was all there for each other. And I know that like I could call him for anything. So it's just not like I lost somebody. I lost my brother.
And I should have said that was the passenger, Terrence Harmon, who was sitting there as that gun shot in and killed O'Shea.
And what's interesting to me, just as like a white dude who's been pulled over for like expired registrations and things like that, they don't call another officer. And when the police officer, has to go back to the car, they just leave me there. Like there's not another officer there. Can you kind of talk about step by step? There was originally one officer talking to O'Shea through his window in the driver's seat. They were communicating. It wasn't escalated from that officer. O'Shea was transparent that they had marijuana in the car, and that was that. It didn't escalate until the second police officer. From your lens as the attorney, was there any grounds for him, the second officer, to jump on the vehicle and then to shoot inside when O'Shea was driving away?
No, the decision to use deadly force in this case is not backed up by any facts. Typically, I sit back and wait, and I wonder what justification will be offered. In the case of, for example, 15-year-old Jordan Edwards, it was a car that was driving away. And I knew that it was driving away from the witness testimony, but they said, of course, the car was coming at them, and the video hadn't been released. The city of Arlington has been forthcoming, released the video, and they won't be able to justify the shooting whatsoever. And so besides the initial narrative that they offered, which just won't hold up, which is that the officer was being dragged, and he wasn't. He jumped onto the car, he grabbed it, he stuck his gun through the window. That's confirmed by this witness, it's confirmed by the physical evidence and the video evidence. It's funny you point out that there's sort of a difference between how officers interact with you and what you saw in that video. I noticed at first, it's actually something I just picked up tonight. The registration would have expired that Thursday, and this was a Saturday. And O'Shea even thought, he says, maybe you can let me go with a verbal warning on this, because It was August 29th was the expiration date for his registration. It was September 1st. It's not a big deal. Certainly not something that should have resulted in death. To the extent that she smelled marijuana and O'Shea was forthcoming that they probably had a doobie somewhere in the car that had been misplaced. That's a cite and release issue. In most jurisdictions, including Tarrant and Dallas County, have said, although these are still crimes on the books, it's such a de minimis infraction that we can just offer a citation and release the person. They went on to ask Mr. Harmon for his ID, which they had no right to do. He's a passenger in the car. He's not accused of any crime. At that moment, they certainly can ask for ID, but if they have reasonable suspicion that he committed a crime. But being a passenger in a car that has an expired registration isn't a crime. And so you could tell that this poorly trained police force was going about the task of using racial assumptions to escalate a situation in a way that eventually resulted in this young man's death.
And lastly, I want to play you the clip of Terrence and how he's been dealing with this. That would be the passenger.
Sleeping? Are you?
I can't sleep. I mean, probably on a good day, I probably get 4 hours of sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm losing weight. I go through a lot of stress. Since it happened.
What happens when you try to sleep?
I see it over and over and over the video. That's why it was so easy for me to sit there and watch this video like that, because I see it every night. I see it every day in my head. I see this over and over and over. Like, it's gonna be there. It's gonna live there.
Stop the car, man! Stop the car!
And for the audience to know, it wasn't, obviously that was the worst of it, that moment, but you were held there for 6 hours. They talked to you for a few minutes, not about the actual homicide, but about what you guys were doing that day. And then they didn't even drive you home. They dropped you off,
QT. They dropped me off at the QT, where my other brother, came and got me. I used the QT phone to call. And, I didn't have no phone, no money.
They took all your stuff?
Everything I had. I took everything I had, put me took me to another man that has to talk to me, then took me in a squad car and dropped me off down the street at the QT gas station in Arlington. And I clearly stated I stayed in Fort Worth.
So it's kind of like, I guess, as a black man, before this happened, you already kind of live in fear a little bit, but this is kind of...
To be honest, I can't tell you what I'd do if all the police cop pulled me over. Can't tell you what I'd do. I mean, it's clear to see. It's clear to see. I just don't wish this upon nobody else. Nobody else. Nobody's sons, no daddies, no fathers, nobody. I don't wish this upon nobody to sit and watch somebody that close to you get their life taken for nothing.
There you have it. That was Terrence Harmon. And by the way, not only have they not released the officer's name, they have not interviewed Terrence Harmon as part of the investigation. If that doesn't scream to you a cover-up, then you're not paying attention. You don't release the officer's name. You have the Arlington Police Department investigating themselves. They don't interview the only other material witness alive. Does that seem like a police department actually doing a real investigation? No. Because 9.5 times out of 10, the police protect their own. And I don't want to blanket that every police officer is evil, but this is not an anomaly. This is a pattern. And unfortunately, thanks to you guys, I was able to go down there and show that. And I'm going to stay on this story. I'm going to keep in touch with the attorney and activists on the ground so I can give you updates. If news develops and we have the resources, I'm going to go back down there. But a big part of why these things continue to happen at so much frequency and so regularly is because it's normalized. The lack of attention on it, the lack of outcry on it. I mean, Ty and I just going around Dallas, eating and going around Arlington, just getting food or whatever, we would strike up conversations with people in Dallas, in Arlington, had no clue about Botham John or O'Shea Terry. So if people who live there aren't being informed, how can we expect people across the country or world to know what is going on? You don't get change, you don't get activism, you don't get outcry, you don't get pressure that could achieve results if nobody knows what's going on. In truth, I didn't know about the O'Shea Terry killing until I went down there. Actually, somebody tweeted to me, a viewer probably tweeted to me, "Hey Jordan, are you going to this tonight?" With an advertisement for that very community meeting I went to cover. I didn't know who O'Shea Terry was, who the killing was. I'm not from down there. And you're not seeing CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or any of these places cover these things. And these should not be treated as normal occurrences. But we have a media, frankly, that after children are shot up in schools, moves on from it in 3 or 4 days. We have a media who sends their little anchors and reporters out to cover hurricanes and fail to actually talk about, oh, gee, gosh, golly, Jim, what the hell is causing the hurricanes at such frequency? You know, Ty loves Chris Cuomo. Ty's a little establishment. Got to keep it real. Loves Chris Cuomo. We were arguing in the hotel room. I was saying, I guarantee you, he's going to cover this hurricane, not even going to mention climate change once. Fossil fuels, fracking. Ty disagree with me. Who was right? I shouldn't be hard on Ty. His flight got canceled yesterday and today. So he has literally been in the Dallas airport trying to get home to Los Angeles for a day and a half. My flight didn't get canceled. So, love Ty. But you have media that, honestly, is a joke. All corporate media, in my view, is a joke. Frankly, there's not a lot of independent outlets that are covering these stories. So I don't cover every single story. I'm only one person. That's why we're launching Status Coup, statuscoup.com, launching sometime this week. Got a lot of things going. We just passed 11,000 on the GoFundMe. We're less than 100 subscribers away from 20,000 subscribers on this YouTube. This YouTube is only 7 months old. Already hitting 20,000 subscribers. Thank you. And we got some other exciting things. But the point is, to get change, to apply pressure, look what Bernie Sanders just did. Bernie Sanders, basically, by trolling Jeff Bezos and therefore getting the media to pick it up, therefore getting his grassroots army to go after Jeff Bezos and Amazon got wages raised to $15 an hour. Sure, Amazon then cut, I think, stock, what was it, stock? Amazon cut employees' stock or something?
Yeah, some of their bonuses.
But overall, the Amazon employee now is making more, significantly more than they were. That's because Bernie Sanders essentially did more than the United States media. Literally, Bernie Sanders, through social media and through essentially a pressure campaign, exposed Amazon more than the media. We are not Bernie Sanders. We do not have his army yet. One day I hope to. But you can start waking people up. You can start creating activism. You can start driving people to activism if you show up and you actually ask tough questions, if you actually challenge power. And that's what we're trying to do. And you made that happen. We could not have gone to Dallas. Our resources were running a little low, and you guys helped make that happen. And hopefully you're going to make the next trip happen. We are now at $11,025. If you're coming to this late, Jen made the special announcement that anyone who contributes between our 11,000 and 12,000 period, anyone who contributes $200 is getting a Status Coup swag bag, which will include signed things you could wear. And anyone who contributes $50 is getting a mini swag bag. I personally want the full swag bag, but I know everyone can't contribute that amount. So if you do want to contribute that amount, $200 is going to get you that swag bag. I have some stories in mind
We're
that.
at 189, so only one more donor to 190 donors.
Oh yeah, we're at 189 donors. We definitely, as much as the dollar amount is super, super important, so is the amount of people that contribute. Because let me keep it real. I'm going to keep it super real to you. We are trying to use this as a way to get broader funding. And a way to get broader funding is to show, hey, look how many people we have contributing. Look how many people we have supporting already. Look how much we were able to raise just through people believing in this. And that's with relatively few resources. We are truly doing this grassroots, ground up. We're not taking money from any of the usual special interest suspects, taking money from you. And as a reminder, I keep saying this is not going to be our long-term business model. We're not doing GoFundMes for every trip. We're not doing crowdfunding for everything. We are going to have a paid membership model, which will start with our website. But right now, we're just looking for funding to get this thing rolling. And from what I've seen, what I've seen on the comments, people appreciate real reporting. People like us going down and covering those stories. People don't like it because they're tragic stories, but people want to see real spotlight put on real suffering, real injustice, real corruption. And I'm just getting started, baby. I'm just getting started. So keep it coming. And if you can't contribute, just share the videos. Share the videos, share the reporting. So I'm going to stay on the Botham Jean killing and investigation, or lack thereof, investigation, as much as I can from New York. Like I said, as things develop, I will be back down there. Ty and I will be back down there. I'm also going to stay on the O'Shea Terry investigation. I'm going to do some research investigating from here as best I can, and we'll update you as I go. Thank you for making it possible for me to get down there. We would have stayed longer, but there was the reality. There wasn't a lot of protest activity going on that week, and we interviewed as many people as we could, but we didn't get enough responses to others we had reached out to merit staying longer. But that doesn't mean we're not going to go back there. As you see, I've been back to Flint 12 times. I went to Standing Rock 7 times. I've been to East Chicago 6 times. We're not one-trick ponies. We, generally speaking, go multiple times to big stories. So that's our plan. But I want to, before I wrap, because I think I don't want to compete. Doesn't Jimmy Dore do a live stream on Saturdays? I think Jimmy Dore does a live stream soon, so I don't want to compete with Jimmy because his army's, I'd say, significantly bigger than I at this point. And I love Jimmy, so all the power to him. But before I leave, and like I said, this is also a super chat, so if it's more convenient, you could leave a couple bucks in the super chat or the GoFundMe, whatever you want. So definitely, by the way, check these videos. They're all up on this YouTube channel, the majority of them. Ty's also going to be editing a montage of all the interviews we did, so you could kind of have an overview of our reporting down there. So before I end, I come back after covering the grisly murders of 2 black men, the corruption surrounding both investigations, and part of me was like, gee gosh golly, Jim, if the DNC or the Democratic Party would send out fundraising emails, forget fundraising emails, just send out emails about either of these cases, about black men being massacred, maybe that would help them win elections. Because I could tell you, a lot of black people I meet are kind of getting tired of the Democratic Party, who's offering platitudes, but not jobs to them, not safety to them. So I come home and I see this is the Democratic plan if they retake Congress. Nancy Pelosi. One of the first things we'll do if we retake Congress, call for Trump's tax returns. President Donald Trump's tax returns will be a top priority next year if Democrats take the House and the oversight power that comes with it, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said. Pelosi said obtaining the tax returns would be one of the first things we'd do and the easiest thing in the world during an interview. Trump is the first president of the modern era not to release any personal tax returns, something Democrats and activists have been clamoring for throughout his presidency. Those calls especially ramped up after the New York Times broke a major story last week alleging that Trump engaged in tax fraud to assist his father, something Trump has denied vehemently. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, Pelosi said a hunt for the president's taxes would not be an act of revenge by Democrats, but rather an act of oversight from a co-equal body of government. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus Christ. These Democrats. Look, I mean, Ay, ay, ay. Sorry, folks. I'm just tired of this old bad record spinning. So, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Your presidential candidate, your presidential candidate ran a campaign against a reality TV star, used car salesman, essentially calling him the Antichrist, pointing out all his bankruptcies, all his stiffing, his contractors, constructors, his rigging, his buying off politicians, and basically just throwing stuff at a wall and hoping people would basically say, "Pox on Trump, I'm voting for the other person." That was the Democratic Party's strategy in 2016. And she lost. Not in the popular vote, but in the Electoral College. I don't like the Electoral College, but it is what it is. She lost basically because she made her campaign, "I'm the anti-Trump."
Guillaume and Daryl did the GoFundMe.
Oh.
We're at 192 now.
192 donors? And how much money are we at?
11,250.
Wow. Hold on. Breaking news alert. Gotta give.
And Julie's getting the big swag bag.
Wow. Julie Kostentan just contributed $200, and she is the first to get the swag bag. The swag bag is going to have signed goodies. Signed goodies. So, Julie, email Jordan at protonmail.com. Email Jordan at protonmail.com. And get us to... give us your shirt size.
Well, she's done that before. She's been a previous
Okay.
donor.
So this is
again.
this is a multi-donor.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Julie. 192 people. Can we get 8 more while we're live? Even if it's like $1 to $5.
Yeah.
I would love to get 200
Putting the numbers up would be good.
200 contributors. And Jen has been putting the GoFundMe link in the chat. Can we get 8 more? 11,250. So our goal for the end of October is 15,000. What's today? October 13th. So I think that's possible.
Yeah.
I really do. And we are definitely going back on the road as soon as humanly possible. One of the main reasons we came home is A, Ty needs to finish this documentary, and B, I need to go to the doctor. Don't worry, it's nothing deadly, but my digestive system is all out of whack, and I can't go live anymore while burping. It's not because I'm sloppy, it's because my digestive system is out of whack. I already missed one doctor's appointment to go down to Dallas, can't miss another one. So, thank you, Julie. Thank you also to Daryl, who contributed $10. Gulami, Guillaume. Where are you from, Guillaume? I like that name. $15. So we are on the way, baby, because I'm on my way. Now, getting back to the Democratic Party, who doesn't do this kind of fundraising. No. Nancy Pelosi still going to the banks, still going to big oil daddies and mommies, and still going to Silicon Valley. So J3 Blivion says, eat vegan if you actually care about that. You know, I tried vegan for approximately 4.5 days, and it did help my digestive system, but I can't say I loved it. No disrespect to vegans. I think that's amazing. So, would it be nice to see Trump's tax returns? Yeah. Is it going to make an iota of difference in whether you defeat Donald Trump in 2020? Hell no. This is a man who was caught on tape basically talking about sexually assaulting women. He got elected. This is a man who has literally lied about seeing thousands of Muslims cheering on a New Jersey rooftop during 9/11. He got elected. This is a man that a week and a half ago, there was a major New York Times story basically saying that him and his father and him committed tax fraud, hundreds of millions of dollars. Literally just rolls off of him. His supporters support him not despite those illegal activities, because of those illegal activities. That's what the Democratic Party doesn't get. His supporters like that he's a pompous asshole. His supporters like that he rigged the system. His supporters like that he probably dodged his taxes. They think he's a smart alpha man powerhouse, and they love it. So if you retake Congress, your first thing is to get his tax returns. It's going to make zero difference to defeating him. It's probably going to gin up the Republican base even more. You're not going to win unless you convince voters you are for what they are for. I don't understand why this is complicated. Medicare for All, polling at 70% among all voters, 85% among the Democratic Party. Democratic Party? Oh, no, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Free public college, polling incredibly well. Democratic Party, nothing to see here. Trump's taxes. Majority of people want less war, less funding to the Defense Department. Democratic Party, let's give them $85 billion more to defense. I mean, it besides just being stupid, it's like they're trying to lose. That's really what I'm beginning to think. They're trying to lose. And if Nancy Pelosi's corruption didn't convince you that she shouldn't be the House Speaker if Democrats win, her stupid strategy should. Because that's stupid. The first thing they should do, if they take back Congress, is say, you know what? Trump has given 85% of his tax cuts have gone to rich people. Here's our plan. Government jobs, investment in government jobs and programs for inner cities. Trump is trying to cut Obamacare and bring you back a healthcare system by your SOL if you don't have health insurance. Go to the emergency room and the rest of us will pay for that. Our plan is Medicare for All, supported by 70% of Americans. They won't do it because their donors won't let them. Paul Bissell Gaming says, yep, it's like Democrats sold out to Republican backroom conman stuff. I agree. It makes no sense. It really does make no sense. So, I don't know what to say. As of now, I think there's a chance, a pretty decent chance that Democrats retake the House of Representatives. And if that's their strategy to double and triple down on the pot, Trump is the Antichrist. Let's get his taxes. Let's get his blood, his blood type. Let's get everything. You're going to lose in 2020. Guaranteed. Seems like the only politician that realizes the only way to defeat Trump is to say what we're for and then fight for it is a 76-year-old man that they keep saying is himself the Antichrist. Bernard Sanders. It is time to topple the Democratic Party, and it is time for a status coup. A status coup of the coup d'etat. As a reminder, you could get this hat with the logo's colors for $100. You could get a hat or the status coup shirt. $127, get you both. You know what? We are coming around to Christmas time. We're getting close. Getting close to Hanukkah, Christmas. I would like that as a stocking stuffing. What do you say, Jen?
Definitely.
I'm a Jew. I mean, I never really got 8 presents for 8 nights, but I would have liked a status quo hat and shirt. And by the way, once we send you the shirts, we're going to ask you to send us videos of you wearing it so we can make videos. How cool the swag is. Public domain. Losing grip on our throats and a couple of body blows we get free. I hope it's not that grim. Noam Chomsky 2020. Hey, if Bernie's too old, Noam Chomsky's too old. But I love Noam Chomsky. I'd vote for him. Bernie does.
Someone asked what if Hillary runs again.
If Hillary runs again, I'm moving out of the country. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gone.
By the way, I'm not being sexist. I told Jen to come on air, but she doesn't want to because she, what?
I don't make up on.
You don't what?
I don't have makeup on.
Oh, because you don't have makeup on. I would love her to come on, but she doesn't want to. I can't, can't make her. But Jen for president, if you ask me. Jen for president. So that's the story, folks. Thank you for helping me get down to Dallas. You could help Ty and I get to a lot of more places. Our goal is $50,000. It sounds very, very large. I think we could do it. We're at 192 people have contributed in 1 month. I'd like to get to 200 people by the end of today. Even if each person in this, well, not every person, because some of you already contributed, but even if the people who haven't throw in $1, $5, we appreciate it, because every single person makes a big difference. And our goal is to not long term, in the short term, try to get larger funding, and showing how many people are supporting this really makes a difference. Another thing we're planning on doing is pushing this GoFundMe as hard as we can to people with larger audiences, probably towards the end of the month, because we're expecting a very, shall I say, big development to happen at the end of this month. So stay tuned for that. If anything breaks over the weekend, I will be live. Jordan went out there when he was recovering from back surgery. Jordan is the real deal. Well, thank you, Boo Fry, OG. Boo Fire left $1,000, right?
Julie.
Oh, Julie. Okay.
She just left money again.
Okay. So, Julie. I mean, you're really something, Julie. Thank you. So, thank you for watching. Definitely consider contributing if you haven't. There's a few more videos we're going to be posting from our time in Dallas. I will update you on those stories as far as things develop. And remember, most people do have compassion. Most people don't know what the fuck is going on. Peace out.